Wife's disturbing behavior, from stomping on a fetus in an egg to running over geese without remorse, has me questioning everything about us. I'm a 37-year-old man and my lovely wife, 36, and I have little to no problems with each other. However, upon noticing little things that are mounting up to a rather terrifying level, I'm not sure I can ignore this anymore. She's a great person. She's done so much for me this whole marriage in respects that I do not want to have sex after a rather traumatizing experience that I don't need to get into. She does little things that show she listens and cares about me, and I do the same for her. I want to stay with her because we've been married for 10 years now and she is all I know, but lately I just don't know what's going on and why she's acting the way that she is. The first notable time was when we found an egg on the curb. We assumed it was from our neighbor, given that they have chickens and maybe an egg roll out or something. Without a second thought, my wife stomped on the egg. Now, I would have been fine had it been an infertile egg or a cooking egg without anything, but the entire fetus was seen and I threw up. She laughed, saying that it was funny and at least the neighbors don't have to worry about another chicken. I told myself that it was just an egg and she had no idea that there would be a fetus in it, but her reaction afterwards rattled me. I brushed it off because, like I said, I love her. Maybe that is stupid, but I do. I really love her. But the things continued, and my love for her is wavering. Some notable things I remember were stated below. We have a dog, we'll call him Butter. Butter is the most calm dog in the world, and housebroken and well trained. However, one time, he was very sick and irritated and he went number 2 on the carpet. My wife screamed at Butter. Screamed. I told her to stop because the damage was done already and Butter is a dog who is sick. I cleaned the carpet and she never blew up at Butter again, but it rubbed me the wrong way how mean she was to him. I understand that she was frustrated, but Butter started crying and trying to give her paw, and she kept screaming at him. My mom passed in 2020. Natural causes. But I was very close with her and it took many years to accept it. I keep her favorite bracelet on a table with family photos of her and me. One day, it was missing and I had a panic attack. The bracelet was made by my mom's grandfather, and she wore it every day. It was a part of her. But when I told my wife, she told me that she sold it. I sobbed. I wasn't mad at her, just devastated. But soon after, the bracelet was back on the table and I asked her about that. She started laughing and saying that you should have seen your face. When we were gardening, I noticed I dropped my keys. She was grouchy since it was hot and she was planting flowers since the morning. When she found them, she threw them at my face and it cut my nose. She felt horrible, but that reaction threw me off. One time after work on Halloween, I was feeling particularly depressed for no reason. I don't blame her for this, but she played a prank on me and jump scared me, something we do every Halloween. I started crying and having a breakdown because it was kind of the last straw for me after my shift. She laughed, and kept laughing, then went back to the living room and watched TV. One time on Facebook, we found out that a classmate had been in a car accident. I told her, and she shrugged, saying that she didn't really know her so it doesn't matter. It's okay for her to not care about the victim, but the poor girl was heavily injured, and my memories of her from school were pleasant and she genuinely didn't deserve what happened. My wife and I love horror. We are horror fans. But I cannot stand violence against animals. It disturbs me. So, when we put on When Evil Lurks, as you can imagine, I threw up. The kicker is that she has seen it but wanted to watch it with me since she loves it so much. I'm happy she loves it. But I would have appreciated a warning, which I vocalized. She shrugged it off and that was that. That's a few, but the worst of it happened just yesterday. I tried my hardest to not say anything, but it might be my last straw. I was cleaning up our room and my wife was at work, and I found a journal buried underneath the mattress as I was swapping sheets. For some reason, I opened it and realized quickly that it was my wife's diary. I would have put it back if I didn't see the words on the page. I was horrified. She wrote that when she was driving, there was a line of geese crossing the street. Annoying, yes, but the thing you're supposed to do is wait. My wife wrote that geese are a useless species so it shouldn't matter if a few get run over. Yes, she just ran over 2 geese on the road. Again, I was horrified. I know what people will say, so I'm going to answer a few questions. I love her. I recognize that sometimes, her behavior is unacceptable and concerning. I recognize the concern, which is why I'm here in the first place. But you all have to realize that for the past 16 years now, she's been my world. We dated for 6 years before getting married, and it's been 10 years since our wedding. In those 16 years, I've witnessed her go through horrific things and she's witnessed the same. It's hard to sum up those 16 years, but it's difficult and I'm already saying too much. I noticed the change over the past 3 or so years. Even then, in the moment, I didn't see it as an issue until reading that little journal entry. I can't just leave her, but I can't act the same around her after finding that out. I realize that I need to confront her about what I saw, but truthfully I am afraid. I never knew it was something she was capable of until I read it and started putting the pieces together. Whatever is going on, I don't know what to do with it. She has a therapist and so do I. She seems genuine, but I don't know what to do, knowing that she willingly killed an animal without any remorse. Honestly, I just don't want to leave her. I met her young, and all I know is her. She's seen me through the most vulnerable parts of my life and vice versa. Her family and my family are basically intertwined. We all love each other. She's basically been there longer than when she hasn't. If I have to leave her, I think that will be it for me. That'll be all I have. I'm 37, which isn't old but also not desirable either. I don't even know why she had a crush on me because I personally don't think I'm desirable. I don't even know if this post will make sense. I don't know if anyone will take the time out of their day to read my struggles. My therapist is on vacation so I can't tell her yet. I need somebody to talk to, because everybody that I'm telling brushes it off since she is a very sweet person to them. I just want to fix this. Edit, answering some questions. I said she's witnessed horrific things. I mean that a family member of hers has passed, and one of our mutual friends passed as well. But this didn't happen until months later. We have no kids. I had a rough experience I won't delve into that made me realize I am asexual. And I will ask her soon. My mom passed in 2020. Natural causes. But I was very close with her and it took many years to accept it. I keep her favorite bracelet on a table with family photos of her and me. One day, it was missing and I had a panic attack. The bracelet was made by my mom's grandfather, and she wore it every day. It was a part of her. But when I told my wife, she told me that she sold it. I sobbed. I wasn't mad at her, just devastated. But soon after, the bracelet was back on the table and I asked her about that. She started laughing and saying that you should have seen your face. Update 1. I've had a long month, and there's a lot to say but I honestly cannot stress enough how much your support and words, harsh or not, mean to me. I'll say what has been on my mind lately, but if anybody just came for this, here it is. I'm leaving my ex-wife, Anna, but we are still living together as I pack my things. I'm not really scared of her anymore, so that's her name. I sat down and had a conversation with her. Everything I wrote down and posted here was copy and pasted from Google Docs. I left some details out since they were identifiable for both Anna and I. I showed it to her and she blew up at me. I understand why she was angry. I did share information about our marriage and life on the internet. Her emotions were reasonable. But I started to get very irritable. She listened to the word vomit that just spewed out. She didn't interrupt me or yell at me because I think she realized in that moment how badly it was all affecting me. I begged her to just hear me out and surprisingly she did. She admitted to me that she also recognized that she was changing and told her therapist about it. Do I believe her? Not really. She said that she's been scaring herself and that she's been having anger issues flaring up that she's noticed, and as some of you predicted, she didn't want to give sex up so she cheated on me with some guy she met at her job. Honestly, by the time she explained herself, I didn't care. Because I don't. With everything that has happened, this was the least shocking. I asked Anna, genuinely, if she loved the man she met and she said yes, which hurt but also didn't seem like a surprise to me. I told Anna that if she didn't love me, I can divorce her and we can figure out the separation and home situation. She agreed far too quickly, but I was so emotionally exhausted and done with her shit that it didn't register how little she valued the marriage to just toss it out like it was nothing. I just told her that for the next guy, she needs to get help. She agreed that she would check herself into the hospital. Some of you suggested a tumor but that wasn't the case. Her explanation was the other man got her into drugs. That's all I will say on that matter because it's all she told me. At this point, I don't even care what the reason was because the impact was the same. Honestly, I'll forever kick myself down for not recognizing any warning signs sooner. It should have never gotten to the point that it did, and while it may not be my fault, I'm haunted every day by the thought that I could have been smarter and stopped her from doing everything that she did. When I say that she wasn't always like this, I mean it. She didn't give a specific date from when her affair started, so I can't pinpoint it to an exact event that happened. I miss the woman she used to be, the lovely girl I've known for almost 2 decades. I know this was something that had to be done, but no matter how many times I tell myself that, it doesn't make me feel any better. For those wanting to know, Butter is safe. He's a good boy and he's staying with my sister while I pack up to leave. My wife never physically hurt him but she has yelled at him a few times. It hurts not having him here all the time since my sister's house is 30 minutes away. But he's safe and I actually see him tonight. I also informed my family about this situation. I didn't want to but I knew it was necessary. They understand and apologized for their brushing off of the situation. But to be fair, I downplayed it so that could also be why they didn't see it as an issue. Her family knows we are splitting as well. As for me, I don't really have friends that are available that often, so I've spent most of my time alone in the house and thinking to myself. It was our house at one point. I remember when we first bought it and how excited she was. My best friend and I are going to eat out together, so that's something to look forward to. And she still admitted. I don't hear from her because they take your phone away at the hospital. I hope she can recover, but after everything that my therapist, family, best friend, and you guys have said, I can't bring myself to stay with her. Breaking it off felt like ripping my own arm off. I was devastated and still am. She seemed distraught as well, but I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't think she doesn't care about me. I think there's a part of her that still cares. But maybe I'm wishfully thinking. Even through everything I can't be mad at her. But I know loving her isn't good for me. Is it wrong to forgive her? To see everything from her side? It hurts. It really does. I don't know anything but her. It feels like my life is over even though it isn't. I don't want to date again, but I just want to connect with other people. It didn't click how isolated I was until I left, and I realize now that she is at fault for my lack of communication with anybody. If I had to conclude this jumbled mess of an update, it'd be this. I'm going to be fine. It's only been like 2 weeks, but it's been the longest 2 weeks of my life. I realize that there are more people around that support and care about me. It honestly was really hard to accept that Anna was a disturbed individual who didn't love me. Sometimes, I still convince myself that she does. But everybody around me states that she doesn't. And I'm coming to terms with this. It's progress. I've spent more than 16 years with this woman tormenting me, and I have a warped perception of reality. It truly is not easy to experience any of this, and honestly sometimes I want to come back to her. But I know that maybe I can find the woman, or man, for me that will love me the way I need to. I'm working it out in therapy, and honestly I'm still frightened of Anna. But I am thankful that she was the catalyst to a new chapter of my life. I learned a lot from this, mostly what love is and isn't. Thanks. You guys have good perspectives on things. I can't say that Reddit is what fixed my problems, but I can say that leaving was a result of the extra push you guys provided. I wish Anna the best, wherever the future takes her. While I'm sad that the future will not have me in it, I think this was the best for both of us, since she didn't seem to love me and I now fear her. Now on to second story. Husband's family demands that I buy gifts for all their children during Christmas, causing a heated argument and threats to ban us from future celebrations. TW. Roomba-induced violence. My husband has a very large family. In total I think his father has 8 brothers/sisters. They all got married and had 2 to 6 children each. Now all their children are grown up and starting families as well. We are looking at easily, I believe, 15 children in the family as of right now. We all get together for Christmas every year at his grandparents' house. Sounds great, right? Right. Normally after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving, which they also all get together for, we pick names for the children's gift swap. There is also a man and women gift swap which my husband and I, who do not have children, join in on. Now, to give you an idea of how the gifting has been the last 10 years. Husband and I would buy gifts for his parents, his brother and wife and their 4 kids. Great, awesome. Works fine. Last year they said they would rather we just bought gifts for the kids, so we did. Same thing, we'd always gotten them books at their reading level, PJs, and puzzles of some kind. They were upset, but we couldn't place why. We also didn't get any gifts at all, which we didn't comment on, but my husband admitted he was a bit hurt to get nothing from his parents versus his brother and sister-in-law getting gifts. I am not a super social person, so I spent most of Thanksgiving reading a book and watching one of the youngest cousins sleep. Eventually we all gathered up so the kids could draw names of their cousins for the gift swap. They finished that up, and then husband's brother, who we'll just call Timmy, says an uncle husband will buy all the kids a gift too. My husband and I giving him looks of, "Da fucking fuck you." We laughed and said, "Oh no, haha, we'll just be bringing the candy again this year." His brother then started in that we should buy all of the children gifts since we have none. And that it wasn't very Christian of us to not bless the children with our good fortune. My husband at this point pulled him aside into the kitchen and told him he wasn't buy all of the cousins' gifts, and if he wanted to he was welcome to. They started to argue and Timmy yelled that we shouldn't come to Christmas anymore. I handed over the baby, we left, said we'd email them about it later when they calmed down enough to talk like adults. I just like someone else's viewpoint. My husband is really upset and his parents are agreeing with Timmy that we should be giving more gifts since we have no one to buy them for but kids now. He threw the fact that we get no gifts from anyone at them and they said we were adults now and Christmas if for kids. He pointed out they gifted Timmy and his wife things still, but they said that we'd already bought it, might as well. But I have been shopping with his mother and she bought gifts for Timmy's wife candy again this year already. I'm frustrated and feel like no one is handling any of this well, and I want to step in and help my husband, but I want someone else to look at this mess before I do anything other than listen and offer suggestions. Update 1. Thanks for everyone who came and tossed in their 2 cents. It was wonderful to hear from other people without having to worry if they would repeat my chatter to the other party involved. So, I'm not 100% sure where I should start. I am about 3 drinks in just to calm myself. For one, I did show my husband the post after we talked. I brought up T-Day 2015 and asked him if he wanted some more input than I normally give on his family drama. He said yes. I pointed out the favoritism of his brother over him in almost anything. I made a list showing times when it had happened where they and he were fully in the wrong just to prove the point. We went over the texts from his brother, Sil, mother, father, aunt, and cousin. Just to recap names. So, the day I posted after we went over the texts, which started after we missed their call and went up until we sent the email. All just spiteful shit about how we waste our money, time, and life volunteering and don't spend enough time with their children/cousins/cousins' children/family anymore. It started out telling Todd he was being a candy-ass bitch who is whipped by his cold harpy child-hating wife. And just degraded from there. Todd only sent back a few saying he'd email him about it and asking him to not talk about me. So we sent the email. Here is basically what we sent. I semi-edited it. Todd sent it as if it was just from him. We almost added in his parents but decided we'd just forward it to them if it really got out of hand. NP Timmy did it for him. Yes, well, that went over about as well as water on a grease fire. For one, Timmy forwarded the email to Rhonda and Keith, Kira, and Ben. That was rude, but we were going to do the same thing either way. Ben sent us an email letting us know what Timmy did and said he was sorry he wasn't there to jump in but would try and talk to Timmy. Timmy and Ben are actually really close, so it was nice to see he thought Timmy was being unreasonable as well, since they are normally very close / like-minded. I'm not going to put his email here, I'm just going to highlight what he said and then tell you what Keith and Rhonda said in their email / visit. Yeah, so. At this point we're kinda laughing and kinda crying and kinda shocked. We spent the rest of the day cleaning up our house and talking about what we wanted to do / reply back. We hadn't checked our email and we'd stuck our phones on vibrate and we're just trying to enjoy our day off together. They're pretty rare, sadly. So surprise. His parents drove all the way out to talk to us. I say talk, but it was more like being talked at. They asked me to leave so they could talk to Todd about his actions / rude email. Todd said no, said I was his family and his wife and we were handling this together. They then tried to convince us we had said fuck in front of the family. We didn't. That we had mentioned buying gifts for everyone before. That we didn't love Jesus anymore since we hadn't been going to church. And some of what Timmy has sent in the email too. When his father started to insult me and then in turn my father, Todd was done. He stood up and said, "Thank you for coming to visit us in our home for the first time, but we have errands to run and you need to leave now." They refused. He told them they had to go, now or he'd have to call the police. They left. He cried, I cried, our cats knocked over their cups. We ended up calling my dad and telling him everything as well as showing him both emails. He told us they had before talked shit about me / us to him. "You should be able to fix your child still, we're still working on ours." Was something he told us had been said. We decided we aren't going to their Christmas either way. I told Todd I can't go back there again, nor can I look at any of them the same again. I knew they'd always not like me as much as some of the other daughter-in-laws, but I didn't know it was to that extent. They have always been nice and polite to my face. Invited and included me in all events. No one had ever said anything to Todd either. As it stands, I'm waiting for my dad and brother to get into town and then we're going to sit down and decide what we would like to do. Todd said he just wants it to be small and doesn't mind where Christmas happens and said he felt closer to my dad and brother anyway. We told Ben what happened and shipped his gift to him. I haven't decided yet what I will do with the Nibblings gifts, but I already donated all of the adult gifts. Edit TLDR, sent email, got email back. Email sent around. Parents showed up, BS, all my fault, we aren't going to Christmas or talking to them until after holidays are over. I'd also like to add I am not of another ethnicity. My father is German and moved to the US when he was 20 to marry my mother. So I'm a pasty white chick, but I guess since my dad isn't American that's bad. Update 2. I wish this update was we all made up and Christmas will be so great. But it's not. Yesterday we had a small Christmas party with some friends since we will be leaving the 24th for a holiday. Myself, Todd, dad and brother who I will name Theo. My friend Sandy grew up near me, we've been friends for years and she became friends with Timmy and his wife too. They are friends together on Facebook. We had told her that there was a tiff but didn't elaborate to not damage their friendship. Big mistake, since she tagged us in her woo look at my gift / QQ my friend is leaving me for Christmas post. The photo is of the two of us drinking while dancing around her new Roomba. I will note this isn't just for her Christmas, it's for her Christmas, birthday and her wedding as well as a housewarming gift. Her and her soon-to-be husband Bill just bought a new townhouse near us. I normally wouldn't buy something that expensive just for Christmas, so. Timmy saw the post. Not only did he take offense to us drinking, none of them drink / are against drinking, he really flipped his lid about her getting a Roomba. He lost his crap in the comments and then showed up at our apartment. I was in the shower when Timmy showed up. I heard someone knocking on the door which had to be pretty loud to hear it all the way in the MB shower. I finished the shower around midway through Todd and Tim fighting. Todd said he was beating the door down. He opened the door and refused to let Tim in any further than the hallway. Tim was yelling at him about the gift, about his lack of church going, about us going out of town, demanding his kids' gifts, I donated them, and asking where we got off buying such a pricey gift for someone who isn't related and buying. Geese selfish assholes about gifting the other children. So around this point I come out of the shower after putting on PJs, it's nearly 1 a.m. now. I came out to see Timmy, I'm kinda shocked. Todd tells Tim it's late and we can talk about this when we get back from holiday with the pastor. He pushes Todd falls back into the wall putting a dent into it. This woke my dad and Theo. I moved in front of Todd since Tim was pulling back to hit him. He hit me knocking me down on top of Todd. Dad and Theo restrained him. Our next door neighbor was woken up and called 911. Cops showed up, separated all of us. We told them what had happened, didn't tell them about the other problems, shortened it up to there had been a Christmas disagreement. They also called an ambulance since Todd cut his arm on a dish that broke and my face was quickly turning purple. The EMS who showed up know Todd, and were very upset about him and I being hurt. The cops asked us if we wanted to press charges. I started to say no. Todd said yes. So Tim was arrested. We went to the ER since Todd needed some stitches. Our phones have been blowing up ever since. I turned mine off after I told Sandy she needed to not let Tim and Candy see any posts about us since they are pissed at us. She said okay. I went though and unfriended / grouped anyone who was also friends with any in-law family into a restricted group so they can't see anything we're up to again. I hope. Rhonda and Keith have been blowing up Todd's phone. He's only answered them in texts with what happened, that we would not drop charges or pay his bail, and to stop contacting us, at all. Between the last update and this one we had talked to some of the other family members and they all said they disagreed with Timmy. His grandparents said they did too, but that they couldn't host the Christmas and couldn't stop him from uninviting us. They said they would talk to him and we were like, okay cool, maybe by next year we can be friends again. That isn't the case anymore, at all. There is no coming back from this. We'll be filing a restraining order when we get home. Todd is talking about us moving out of our home state. Dad and Theo think this is a good idea. Dad is annoyed that I wouldn't let him hit Tim, so he's sulking a bit, but I think it's more that he's upset that we have lost another family basically. So, yeah. I get to enjoy my trip with a black eye/cheek. Todd has a 4-inch gash on his arm. Dad is sulking and Theo is happy since he's smoking pot, so A plus Christmas.